Mr. Franzese. As I said before, my obsession, right, is quite unhealthy. So when you was discussing about the gasoline business, there was one particular name that immediately came up in my mind, and that's Anthony Gaspipe Casso. Now, I guess Gaspipe has a bit of a background as well in the same business as yours. And it's often speculated online about who was the first, you know, whose style or whatever. So, I mean, so who was the first, pretty much, if I could ask, about dealing with the gasoline?
You know, it's amazing, especially on YouTube, all the people that chime in on this.
Definitely.
You know, I always say there were other guys doing it. We were doing it better than anybody. That much I'll say. We ran it longer than anybody. Some people say it was the Russians that came up with this scheme. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. And it didn't matter to me. You know, we were doing our thing, and we were doing it as well or better than anybody else that I know of. Gaspipe, I don't think he was as involved as he says he was. Because during my time in that, I never even ran into him. No, we had no disputes. We didn't run into each other. We didn't cross people that we might have been, you know, servicing at the time. So he might have been involved with one of the guys that were there, but he wasn't involved like I was. There's no way, because for 7 years that I ran that, we would have had some issues. We would have got involved with each other. We never did.
For sure.
So, but you know, Gaspipe, look, he's gone, but I think to a great degree he's been discredited, you know, about a lot of things, you know. So I don't know, but I knew him. We met. But we never had any issues with the gas business.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well, what was he like dealing with? Because he's got a bit of a reputation.
Yeah, I didn't really have to deal with him or anything, you know. So, you know, I know others weren't real crazy about how they dealt with him. You know, I heard that all the time, but I never had a run-in with him. We never had any issues together. You know, I don't even know if he mentioned me or spoke about me in anything that he said, you know, about the gas business. I don't know. But I think a lot was embellished with him. That's my feeling. Maybe not by him, but by others, you know, that thought what he was doing there, but never had a run-in with him.
Right, I'm sure you're familiar with that. I guess there was a famous hit that was done because I guess his guy was a Russian guy.
Yeah.
And then I guess he hired the help of like the Gemini twins, Joey Testa, Anthony Senta, and then they, I guess, carried out that hit. I don't know. I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things in that life you hear about and you just let it go over your head and go on to the next thing, you know?
For sure. Now, going back to yourself, the movie Goodfellas, right? So, I guess someone pretty much played you. And what I found funny, because I watched it recently, you was kind of portrayed a bit aggressive. I don't know, because I've seen you, you're a pretty calm guy, very collected, you know, to yourself. But this guy that was in the movie was on some, like, I don't know if you remember what he said. He was like, "Oh, where's your guy? I want to see him," or something, right?
Yeah, I want to see that guy, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I was surprised when I saw the movie. I didn't know that they had my character portrayed, and because it was a different crew. Now, I knew Henry Hill well. I knew Jimmy Burke. I knew Paulie Vario very well. But I said, why'd they throw me in there? So Nick Pileggi was the writer.
Yeah.
And I called him up. I said, Nick, why am I in that film? He said, well, Michael, you got name value, and I threw you in there. I said, and you knew everybody. I said, all right. But that was it, you know. But I will tell you this. Ray Liotta did such an amazing job. Henry Hill never looked as good as Ray Liotta made him look in that movie, you know.
You know what?
Yeah, Henry had a lot of, you know, personal issues. He was a you know, challenge guy. Let's put it that way. But
do you know what's crazy is that, you know, coming across someone like yourself, it's crazy how when you put things into perspective, because I was such a fan of the movie Goodfellas, but looking at it now with the knowledge that I have, Henry Hill was someone. He didn't have as much relevance, I'd say, to the, you know, the Paulie Vario crew and the Lucchese's. Like, he didn't really matter like how he was portrayed in the film, right?
No, he was an associate. You know, he wasn't a made guy, and I doubt he ever walked into the back of the Copacabana without somebody with him, like Paulie or Jimmy Burke. You know, they just portrayed him to be the central figure in all of that, but he wasn't, not at all. And you know, he had a drug problem. He was an alcoholic.
Absolutely.
You don't put your faith and trust in somebody like that, you know. So, but you know, it was a good movie, and you know, I tell people all the time. I said, listen, it's not a documentary; it's a movie. They take, you know, dramatic liberty. Enjoy it. Don't worry about whether it's true or false. You know?
Nah, I definitely took heed to those words. I mean, I can't watch Goodfellas the same anymore after hearing your account.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah.
They said, Mike, well, it's a good movie. Enjoy it. Yeah.
For sure. But Jimmy Burke is definitely, we can agree that he's a somebody, right? And he's someone
Jimmy Burke was a good earner. He was a respected guy. I knew him well. He did me a big favor one time when I was in Lewisburg Penitentiary. You know, so he was a good guy. He was a guy of substance. Now look, we had guys around us that were associates, but they elevated their position by their performance.
Right.
You know, Jimmy was an earner. And I had guys around me, like Rizzo at the time in the gas. He elevated because he was a big earner, you know, and that means a lot.
No,
Henry was not.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely get that now.
Yeah.
And with Jimmy Burke, I guess the main murder that happened in Goodfellas with Billy Batts, right? This apparently is speculated this was a murder that was done by Jimmy Burke just by himself, sort of thing. And you know, the whole inclusion of Tommy DeSimone, it's like, you know, he wasn't really.
I think Tommy was involved in that.
He was involved,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's why he got hit in the end.
But Jimmy didn't get hit though.
No.
Because I guess the Lucchese's was like, you can't do anything with Jimmy, sort of thing.
And it's not only that, you know, when guys behave like Tommy DeSimone did in that movie, every guy I knew like that, from Roy DeMeo to him, they never last because they're wild cards, you know? You don't want to deal with somebody like that. So rather than have to deal with them, eventually you're going to get rid of them. I've never seen it fail. Never seen it fail. When you crazy like that, like obviously DeMeo, look, DeMeo was a serial killer, you got to be honest.
Crazy.
So when his time came, nobody's going to have mercy for him.
For sure.
You know? And when guys were like that, they paid the price in the end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very true as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Incredible, honestly. Like getting these insights right now, it's I'm a bit overwhelmed. But.
I mean, you know, if I had a problem with Tommy DeSimone, rather than worry about him, what am I going to do? I'm going to take him out first.
For sure.
Who wants to deal with this guy? Because you never know. You know, you can settle everything. The next day you're walking down the street and you know, a car hits you by accident. So you don't deal with people like that. You get rid of them.
Definitely. So let's talk about John Gotti a little bit now.
Sure.
I guess in 1985, that's when the big Paul Castellano hit happened. I don't know where you were at the time, but what was your impression when that happened? Like directly at that time, sort of thing.
Well, we knew right away it was Gotti. I mean, within hours we knew what it was. It was a bold move. You know, my first thought was this commission sanctioned? You know, hitting a boss. So you speculated on that, and I remember talking to a couple of the guys, and you know, a few guys were saying, you know, Gotti's going to pay a price for this, and there was a lot of talk either way. Like, nah, he's going to be all right. Nah, he's going to pay the price. Was this commission sanctioned? Was it not? I found out afterwards it was not. You know, when I inquired. So it's a bold move. You know.
And your impression, were you like, oh yeah, nah, I can't. I'm not going to do any dealings with this guy anymore because he's a bit crazy, like.
Nah, you know, you don't think that way. You know, it's just, I mean, sometimes you'd have to deal with him. You know, if I came across a deal and he was somehow involved, like when I had this flea market, I never knew he was involved until he got involved. And then I had to deal with him. So it can come up at any time. And you know, he did try, him and Vic Arena tried to make a move on me in the gas business.
Right.
And Vic Arena, who was our crew, you know, who was close with Gotti.
Colombo,
yeah, he was siding with Gotti. But my boss made me win again. Because I said, you're making a mistake. If you let this guy involved, there's another family going to bring people in. So I won the argument at that time. But it was, it did make me feel good about Vic at that point in time. But we patched that up too. So, you know, look, that life, you get mad one day, you're not mad the next, but you keep everything in your mind for the future, you know?
For sure. Incredible. Now, I want to do a bit of a comparison. So we have John Gotti, right? He has a reputation of being someone who likes to expose himself. Like, he's pretty much out there in all the publications, in the news, on television, right? You see him. And people disliked him for this. I guess, the wise guys pretty much was like, you know, what's wrong with this guy sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
The same could almost be said for Joe Colombo, would you say? Because he had the Italian Civil Rights League, and he kept exposing himself too. So.
Even more so for Joe Colombo, because Joe Colombo was going on talk shows and you know, and that was off limits. You were not supposed to do that, and he got into bad graces with the wrong people, you know, Carlo Gambino and things like that. So, but Gotti, it seemed like the attention came on him because of the way he carried himself.
Right.
It wasn't, and did he seek the attention afterwards? Possibly. Maybe it went to his head a little bit. People have said that. But it didn't do him any good. You know, you can't thumb your nose in the government's face.
For sure.
It's the government. They're going to come back at you, and eventually you're going to go down for it. And that's what happened.
And what did you think of the whole Italian Civil Rights League at the time? What was your impression?
I was a huge supporter of it because I thought it was going to help my father get out of prison. That came out about 1970, right after my dad went to jail. So I was one of the first guys on the picket line at 69th and 3rd. And I said, hey, this is great. Finally, you know, somebody standing up for all the, because my impression at that time is the government was no good. I hated law enforcement. They framed my father. They're bad people. So I thought this was going to rectify the injustice that was done to Italian Americans.
Definitely. And I guess during the rally where Joe Colombo was killed, or well, he died later anyway, you were present.
I was there, yes.
You was pretty much like right next to...
I wasn't next to him. He had handed me, I was up on the stage, he handed me some brochures to give out near Central Park. And I walked away, I was getting to it was a high stage. I was getting to the stairway to go down, that's when the shots rang out.
Crazy.
And I seen him drop and somebody yelled out, Joey's been hit, Joey's been hit. And then it was mass hysteria. It was just crazy.
I can imagine, yeah, definitely.
I'll never forget, that was another, you know.
Quite an experience, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.